America, it's Eric Erickson. These are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon, November 5th. Up first, the Supreme Court seems highly unlikely to keep the tariffs as designed by the president. Several justices pointed out there were other laws the president could use for tariffs, but IEEPA, the emergency provision that the president has used, it's called IEEPA, it is, well, probably not the way to go forward with the tariffs. Justices ranging from Clarence Thomas to Ketanji Brown Jackson voiced skepticism. Sam Alito seemed probably a little more supportive than some people thought he would be. Justice Gorsuch just came out tearing apart the arguments of the Solicitor General. He certainly asked tough questions of the opponents of the tariffs as well, but really tore into the Solicitor General. Amy Coney Barrett seemed only concerned about what to do if the tariffs went away with refunding money. She seemed highly skeptical of the tariffs. Kavanaugh was a little more muted. John Roberts was actually pretty hostile to the tariffs as well. When you got Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch being pretty brutal to the tariffs, it's not going to be a good day for the president with the Supreme Court, it seems. Republicans are trying to interpret yesterday's election results now. The bottom line is that it's the economy. Here's something you can take to heart, and it actually is true. It's not spin. It's just the truth. When all the elections across the country go in a particular direction, it tends to be the economy, stupid. When elections divide around the country based on race, ethnicity, demographics, things like that, those cultural issues matter. And in this country, there are a number of cultural issues that have persuaded non-traditional Republicans to stick with the Republicans. But yesterday we saw Virginia, New Jersey, New York, places like Georgia and other parts of the country shift towards the Democrats. We've seen this with special elections as well. Voters are falling behind economically in this country. They, for the longest time, blamed Joe Biden and the Democrats and gave Donald Trump a pass. But at this point, he owns the economy because he meddled with it with tariffs. Whether you like the tariffs or not, it's the one major economic decision the president's done, and voters are pinning this on the president now, fairly or not. And again, the president doesn't necessarily deserve the blame, but he and his party get the blame, and that's the way it's always been in the United States with elections. The economy matters. There is hope for the Republicans. They can turn the corner on this, and Democrats as well are probably overreading the results as more of a repudiation of the Republicans than is necessarily there. There are cautions for both sides, and I would tell you, you're not going to find rational thinking on Twitter on how to interpret the results, but by talking to Americans who voted. Up next, Republicans have already filed a lawsuit to stop new district lines in California. The matter passed in California to redistrict in lieu of the nonpartisan commission. Republicans are pledging to stop it. I don't think they're going to be able to be honest with you. And California and Texas neutralize each other. There will be cause, given how yesterday went, for other Republican states to redistrict. The problem is the Supreme Court has not ruled on the Louisiana Voting Rights Act case revolving around redistricting, and that's hamstringing certain Republican states that would like to go on and redistrict. They can't redistrict right now unless the Supreme Court says the Voting Rights Act can fundamentally be changed in the way the Trump administration wants. Without that, these states are stuck, and they're not going to get a ruling until next year, which probably actually precludes primaries from happening next year based on redistricted lines. It's a problem for the GOP, as it now looks like Democrats are going to have more support than they otherwise would have based on generic ballot polling. Lastly, it went underreported by a lot of people who focused on Mamdani in New York that Jacob Frey has won his reelection in Minneapolis. You will recall that he was actually running against a Democratic Socialist immigrant from Somalia who got a lot of attention for his run, and it looked like, according to the polling, he could potentially win. Well, it didn't happen. The incumbent mayor won his third term. He's perceived as more moderate, although not necessarily the best candidate for the job. Definitely, though, more moderate than the Somali immigrant Democratic Socialist who was running against him. So there you have it. Those are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon. I am Eric Erickson. Stay informed, stay engaged. Above all else, please keep the faith. And you know what? Don't be discouraged. If you didn't like the results last night, there's another election in a year. Turns out democracy is not as threatened as people thought. And even if it were, God's still on the throne. You're going to be okay.